Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Philip. This is the Ranger's Respite, and we are back to recording reviews. Uh, Last week, we spun the wheel and we landed on Smooth Ambler Contradiction, which is a blend of straight bourbon whiskeys, produced by the Smooth Ambler Distillery out of West Virginia. Now, before we get started, just real quick, if you like these reviews, you want to see more, I have an Etsy shop where I sell these pens. They are turned from a French oak barrel stave, which held cognac for 45 years and then was used to finish a peated American single malt whiskey in the Pacific Northwest. I can't tell you exactly which one because the master distiller who was responsible for it was not able to get her marketing department on board with letting me say. And that's all right, because if you know, you know. Now, let's talk about this whiskey. Now, I actually rather like this stuff. I think this is my second bottle. Um, I like Smooth Ambler. Have a reputation for producing good whiskey. And this is a blend of their own distillate and sourced distillate from Kentucky, and I think it's Kentucky. Let me double check. I can never remember what I've read. West Virginia, Tennessee, and Indiana. My bad. That's okay. Literally read the label like 5 minutes ago when I was getting set up and didn't remember. I'm just going to say, because, okay, I don't have the best nose for identifying things. Uh, as evidenced by my appearance on the Blind Sample Showdowns. I'm going to be on the show again, by the way, February 4th. But there's a note in this that screams a Dickel to me. It's that, like, on the nose, that, like, um, Kids Flintstone chalk gummies note. Not chalk gummies, chalk vitamins notes, slightly mineralic. Honey, baking spice, a little bit of oak tannin. A little bit of, like, sort of a weird, like, bright fruit note that kinda pops out. That might be related to that, sort of mineralic, chalk vitamin note. My nose is stuffed up, and so I've only got use of one nostril. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. On the palate, that, Flintstones vitamin note pops out. It's got that, like, mineralic chalkiness, some caramel, a little bit of citrus that I wasn't expecting. Mm. The oak tannins aren't as present on the palate, but there's, like, chalky mineralic note, that, um, bright burst of sweet fruit, caramel. This is sort of straight down, right over home plate, slow pitch, easy to hit bourbon. It does have this note that sort of lingers around the edges that is very bright, spiky alcohol note that is almost definitely, because this bottle is fairly old. I don't know what they're currently doing. I'm gonna have to do some research because, like I said, I've liked what I've had from them. But for 46%, it's got that, like, real spiky note around the edges. Hold on a moment. I got a cough. Just gotta mute myself. Ugh, apologies. It's got that like bright, spiky alcohol note. It is, I think, a little bit too strong for being 46%. And I'm pretty sure that comes from their own distillate because when this is bottled, it was probably still pretty young. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. You got to start somewhere. And honestly, blending your own distillate with source distillate, not just from MGP, but from, if I had to guess, Dickel in Tennessee, I've got to say it's a good showing. It is a really solid bourbon. Like I said, right over home plate, really reasonable, easygoing, classic bourbon. The finish is very short, and most of what it leaves behind is a bourbon note that I associate with MGP, which is kind of hard to describe. There are so many brands that just bottle MGP bourbon or MGP rye that like you kind of get a feel for it if you've tasted a whole bunch of them, and it pops out and you go, I know that note. And that's perfectly fine, understandable, normal even. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just easily identifiable. Now, instead of giving numeric ratings, I always ask and answer 3 questions. The first one being, do I like it? Yeah, this is a really reasonable bourbon. Not something that I go out of my way to get. I replaced the bottle that I had before. And amusingly, because I'm a weird nerd, I I kept the collar off of my first bottle because the second bottle I picked up didn't have one. And I think it's kind of cool. Um, Second question, do I think it's a good value? This gets tougher because, like, honestly, I don't think it's a great value. I think that it's a little bit pricey for, the sort of easygoing, not terribly exciting, boring bourbon that it is. But also, it is a really solid bourbon. It's right over home plate. It's something that's approachable that people who aren't necessarily, bourbon nerds are going to enjoy, but there's enough there to like pick through for someone who is interested. So, the price tag of being about 40 bucks is a little bit high, but not too bad. And I think I picked up the last bottle on sale. Um, that leads me to the third question. Do I recommend it? Honestly, not really, no. Um, I've had samples of their single barrels. I think I've had a sample of a sourced single barrel and a much more recent sample of a single barrel that was their own distillate, and both of those were considerably better than this. And those I would say are worth giving a shot. But if you already have a lot of like easygoing bourbons, I can't really recommend this over any other bourbon, especially since there are so many that do interesting things that are more interesting to me. And that's just my opinion. Um, Now, before I spin the wheel, just really quick reminder, if you want to support the show, you want to see more of these, because I buy almost all the whiskey for the show myself. Sell these French oak held cognac for 45 years, and then a peated American single malt whiskey in the Pacific Northwest. Um, let's see. I've got a TeePublic shop. There will be a link in the description down below. You can buy t-shirts, stickers, hats. I'm in the weird position where I'm waiting on selling a couple of pens before I can buy myself a hat with one of my logos on it. Um, and with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and see what we're reviewing on Friday. Now, I think 2 Fridays in a row, it's been a rye. And I did just completely wipe the list, redo it, pulled all the Lost Lanterns and ones that I've reviewed out of the list, but I haven't been very good at updating it. So we'll see. A classic. Now, you'll notice that this says single barrel, not barrel select single barrel. That's because this is the old school 9-year-old 120 proof single barrel, not one of the barrel select bourbons that's more recent. I've had it for a long time, and I haven't touched that bottle in a while. So that'll be an interesting look. But it breaks our pattern of doing rides on Fridays, and that's okay. In the meantime, thank you all for hanging out, listening to me ramble about a pretty decent bourbon. Until next time, stay happy, stay geeks. Slancha.